of our fiscal year, which is 92% of the year. The topics we'll cover today are unrestricted cash and cash equivalents, revenues, expenditures, financial results, and then observations. Looking at the pie chart of where our cash is, we currently have $119 million. $42.5 million is in what we call the lockbox. It is Blinn's financial reserves for cash that we're not authorized to touch. The next portion down is the $10 million that we've set aside for repairs and renovations. Then we have $14 million for potential new projects. But in addition, the yellow is $52 million. And the yellow slice of the pie is made up of a potential purchase of water land close to $30 million, the Bryan Administration Building, which has $15 million left of the original budgeted amount, and then we've added the Brenham campus chiller for $6.8 million that is currently in the bidding and assessment process. Going through looking at the cash from students and refunds, financial aid gave us roughly $900,000. Payments from students were right at $14.5 million. Refunds to students were close to $900,000, giving us a net of $14.5 million. Moving back, in July, we received no state appropriations in July. We only receive state appropriations 3 times a year. That's October, February, and June. So we got $500,000 in interest revenue, additional grants and contracts of $161,000, and property tax revenues of $11,000. So that's right at $700,000. Expenditures spent $6.2 million in payroll, $2 million in accounts payable. Construction R&R was $2.5 million. The Bucks program was $526,000, and then Servitas payments for elements that we owed them for shared services was $75,000. So total use of cash is $11.5 million. Going through here, our cash from students, again from the previous slide, $14.5. Cash received from other sources, $700,000. Our use of cash, $11.5. So that gives us a net increase of cash for the month of July of $3.7 million. And part of it went to the bank and part of it went into our investment pool. Looking at the revenue slide, this is really encouraging and exciting. Our state appropriations, we budgeted $26 million. We were at $30 million, and we got one more month of accrual to put in there. So then going down to looking down at the other point is interest revenue. As you can see, interest was $5.6 million above the $3.2 million we had last year. If you look across this column, there are 2 things to note. One, that the total revenues exceed the budgeted amount, and we still have more revenues to go. And the revenue amount from this time last year is up by $12 million. So this is a very positive element of the slide of our financial position. Going through here, this is our financing by source. State appropriations has increased as a source for 2024, but tuition and fees has gone down because of the increase in our state funding. Our budgeted state appropriations were $26 million. Right now we're at $30 million because after we approved the budget, we got word that the state was going to give us an additional $6 million. Tuition and fees, we're at $5 million below where we had budgeted, but we anticipate additional funding coming in, but it will be above where we were last year for the budget purposes. Moving through tuition revenue, as you can see, out of district is the lion's shares of what Blinn brings in, and then out of state is not even a close second, it's a very distant second. Looking at fee revenue, that's pretty stable across from the previous years. Looking at our housing and auxiliary budget, we got $9.4 million, which is ahead of where we got last year. And then moving through auxiliary, As you can see, housing revenue has gone down, and that's a function of the dorms being brought offline, the 4 dorms being brought offline, and the P3s coming on online. And then, but you can see our food service has increased dramatically as the P3 food service revenue comes into the college's auxiliary revenues. Our expenditures. Right now, we spent $110 million versus $104 last year, but that's mostly a function of changes in salary and benefits, and that's primarily due to raises and an increased enrollment requires increased auxiliary and not auxiliary, but adjunct staff. Rolling forward, our allocation of revenues, the lion's share of our revenues go towards payroll. And then the additional amounts, utilities, and that kind of thing are sort of de minimis. Looking through, the important element of this slide is that the debt service was decreased last year, and it'll remain stable coming forward in the next few years. Spending by salary benefits and debt service and other expenditures is very stable compared this year to last year as a percentage. And then you can see that the biggest increase in expenditures was in a good area, instruction. Rolling through our financial results, looking at our revenues, we had $127 million. Looking at our expenses, we have $110 million, so a net gain of $16 million. Now, keep in mind, R&R expenses are not included in this element of the report. This is operating expense only. So this full $16 million will not go into our bottom line. Comparing to last year, we had this year we have $16 million, as I mentioned in the previous slide. Last year, we had $11 million at this point, so we're up $5 additional million year over year. Observations, Blinn is a healthy cash balance. Our revenues have exceeded our budget. Our expenses are under budget, and we should be able to add cash to our cash reserves. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Oh, you were, no, okay. All right.
Looks good.
All right,
Thank you so much, Blinn. Okay, we will now move on to item C, the institutional enrollment report for summer 2 2024 session. Dr. McBride.
Good morning, Chancellor, Mr. Chairman, and Board of Trustee members. I have the pleasure today to speak to you about our Summer 2 enrollment, which ran from Monday, July 8th through Monday, August 5th. Finals were held on Tuesday, August 6th. I'd like to note that enrollment opened up for May Mini, Summer 1 and Summer 2 all the way back on March 25th. So it was open for some time before classes actually began. As you can see, trustees, our enrollment decreased by 224 students, slightly over 5% for this past summer when looking and compared to summer of 23. I'd like to note some positive enrollment trends that you don't see on this slide that we have been watching since March 25th. Summer 2 was actually above the summer 2023 number from March 25th all the way to July 2nd. And if you start remembering back the beginning of July, there was a storm called Beryl that came through Texas, and it really affected many of our students in the Houston area. Blinn College was closed that Monday, July 8th, if you recall. We extended our operations for enrollment to that Wednesday, so we extended a day to give students an opportunity to enroll with us. However, if you look at our enrollment reports from when that storm was starting to really affect the greater Houston area and our area, it affected our enrollment directly. We had many students reaching out to the college that didn't have power, didn't have internet that whole week, and students who were calling us into the next week wanting to drop their classes and what should they do because they couldn't take their courses or they couldn't come here to move for summer 2. So it greatly impacted our enrollment. And that's why I wanted to share that this slide doesn't show this semester was positive from March all the way to the storm came. It was doing very well. We weren't concerned with it until, obviously, we had a natural disaster. I'd also like to include that I did some research to find out about what happened with these students. So we did have 434 students that have re-enrolled with us for this fall. So the students that we did lose this summer have actually already re-enrolled with us to come back this fall semester. So again, that's not something that you're going to see on the slide, but I wanted to share that with you to let you know that we didn't completely lose that enrollment. It's just a little delayed. Okay, on this slide, you can see trustees, how we're looking here in terms of a breakdown by campus. Of course, I'd like to thank Dr. Busicki and Mr. Anderson for all their support as we work on our enrollment and course offerings and all those great things for our students. I'd like to note also, if you look at the dual credit number, there's an increase there. We added Waller to our dual credit students this summer, an additional 49 students. The largest group came from Waller that took dual credit with us this summer. So just wanted to note how important that relationship that we have with Waller is, and that really helped boost our numbers with that population this summer. Before I conclude this morning, I just would like to share some of the things that we've been working on in student services this past year. We've given about 1,500 tours on our 3 large campuses to students and their families to come see us. We've also offered registration days, we call NSR, New Student Registration. Had about 1,800 students, plus their families, come to us between April and August, so a lot of people coming to see us in person. And we've been using that wonderful customer relations management, the CRM software. This is our 2nd year with it. We enjoy it so much, so thank you. We've sent over 1 million emails since last July and 500,000 text messages. So the communication continues to come out continuously from the college to students and their families, and that tool has been a blessing for us as well. So again, thank you for your time this morning, and I'll stand for any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Oh, yes. So what about fall?
Well, I'm here to talk about summer too this morning, to be honest. Fall is trending very well. We are continuing, obviously, to work with students too, and something to remind everyone is, yes, we start classes tomorrow, and registration is open all the way through Sunday because we start midweek. So we're still pushing very hard on our end, communicating and calling students, but to answer your question, trustees, trending very well when compared to last year, because that's what we're looking at. In the halls, of course, we're still working on that too and getting special populations. We started move-in this past, oh gosh, Saturday seems like so long ago, but yes, started moving in students. We've had athletes with us for a couple weeks since July 31st, and things are going very well on campus.
On the Bryan campus especially, it's 44% down for summer. So I guess what you're saying is that was one that was impacted a lot by Beryl, or would have been more Brenham?
It was all of them.
All of them?
All of them, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Schulenburg, quick question, because there was one student. Was that in person or online?
They're online, but their
Okay.
main campus is Schulenburg. That's a good question.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. McBride.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we will now move on to the consent agenda. All items listed in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Trustees and will be enacted upon one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the trustee so requests, in which event the item will be removed from consent and considered in discussion and possible action. Trustees receive agenda materials in advance of the meeting to prepare for the business to be conducted. This is a very lengthy consent agenda. Yeah, I know we all went over all of these items in the budget meeting the other day, so everyone's very familiar with it. I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I move for adoption of the full consent
Trustee
agenda.
Wells,
I'll second it.
Trustee Ehlert, all in favor, please say aye. Oh, that's right, I'm sorry. You're right, we do. We actually have 2 of us that need to read that, so good catch, Trustee Benke, go ahead.
Chapter 171 of the Texas Local Government Code and Texas Education Code Section 51.923 requires that if a local public official or an individual related to the local public official has a substantial interest in a business entity, the official shall disclose before a vote or decision on any matter involving the business entity the nature and extent of interest and shall abstain from further participation in the matter. I have such an interest in regard to agenda item 5G. My husband is employed by Citizens State Bank and also serves as the secretary to the board of directors of Citizens State Bank based in Somerville, Texas. Because of this, I hereby recuse myself from any discussion or official action relating to agenda item 5G and specifically exclude agenda item 5G from my vote on the consent agenda.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the reminder. I also have to send to read a statement on the same thing. The Texas Education Code 51.923 requires that if a local public official or an individual related to the local public official has a substantial interest in a business entity, the official shall disclose before a vote or decision on any matter involving the business entity the nature and extent of the interest and shall abstain from further participation in the matter. I have such an interest in regard to agenda item 5G. My wife serves on the board of directors of Citizens State Bank based in Somerville, Texas. Because of this, I hereby recuse myself from any discussion or official action relating to agenda item 5G and specifically exclude agenda item 5G from my vote on the consent agenda. Thank you very much. We've got a motion on the floor from Trustee Wells and a second from Trustee Ehlert. I would entertain, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's see, we are now going to move to item number 6 on the agenda, discussion and possible action items, discussion and approval of the Texas Cybersecurity Framework Cyber Maturity Assessment. Dr. Burton.
Again, good morning. I'm going to pass the conversation over to Mr. Michael Welsh, who will discuss the process that Blinn has gone through with our cybersecurity protection.
Thank you, Mr. Burton, Dr. Burton. Good morning, Chair Colcourse, Chancellor Hensley, members of the board. So this agenda item we discussed at length last Tuesday at the Budget Audit and Investment Finance Committee meeting. We also have Mr. Dan Graves from Weaver Tidwell online if we need a discussion with him also. This is a biennial report, as we talked about last time, that Texas Administrative Code 202 requires community colleges to complete, which you did with a third party. And can't go into details in a public session. Y'all saw the details last Tuesday. So I think this is, and the committee forwarded their approval to the full board to consider. So I don't know what else to necessarily say out of executive committee, but we have the plan that y'all saw and that we will be working on the next 2 years, and there will be a similar audit and review assessment of our maturity in 2 years.
Does anyone have any questions?
I want to echo from Tuesday to Mr. Welch. Thank you for the tremendous job you and your team have done. And cybersecurity is so important in this day and age. So thank you all for your hard work and diligence.
Thank you, Mr. Wells.
Okay. If no other questions, I would accept a motion that the Board of Trustees accept receipt of the Texas Cybersecurity Framework Cyber Maturity Assessment related to the district-wide risk assessment effort. Trustee Benke. Trustee Carlson, seconds. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Well, we are not having an executive session today, I understand, so that's a pretty brief board meeting. Not sure what to say about that. Yeah, I am. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Trustee Kettler? makes the motion. Trustee Mosier? Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Great job, as always. You guys are hooked, man.
Oh, yeah?
They have to get over that volunteer station or Michael and say, I need to wash your car.